In Part 4 of Module 12 on Traditional and Visible Services, we'll discuss remedies. The three main countermeasures to crime advocated are punishment, rehabilitation, and treatment. In many instances, a combination of all three approaches is being attempted in state and local settings across the country. Punishment has been a very popular approach to crime in the U.S., as evidenced by historically popular support for the death penalty. Large majorities of citizens support its use in cases of murder and other heinous crimes. While only 58 countries in the world used the death penalty in 2016, including China, Iran, Syria, and the United States, 35% of U.S. citizens in 2014 support its use for purposes of revenge and punishment to deter serious crime. See tables 12.2 and 12.3 in the text. The popularity of punishment among citizens and elected officials has led to the adoption in most states of mandatory sentencing laws, including three strikes laws. These state statutes are aimed at deterring potential offenders and incapacitating convicted criminals through long prison terms. Three strikes laws are state statutes requiring a mandatory and extended sentence to criminals convicted of serious offenses 3 or more times. One of the unfortunate results of mandatory sentencing and the punishment approach is that many new state and local correctional facilities have had to be constructed to house an increasing number of prisoners where that investment of public funds could be afforded. Where the investment was not possible, existing correctional facilities have been filled or overfilled. As cost and the number and nature of participants in the overwhelmingly punishment-based criminal justice systems have dramatically increased, many scholars and practitioners believe the current system is neither economically, socially, nor institutionally sustainable. Alternatives to punishment and imprisonment include new community-based policing procedures, juvenile aftercare programs, community service, and residential centers, fines, restitution, intensive probation, and shock incarceration boot camps, among others. One such intermediate sanction is intensive probation supervision, a conditional release program that features strict curfews, routine and random unscheduled drug testing, community service, and restitution to victims. While this is not the approach taken for violent or habitual offenders, it is much less costly and provides an opportunity for rehabilitation for the first-time offenders. Other approaches to rebuilding sustainable criminal justice systems include community policing. In general, community policing can involve the following activities: police officers being assigned to specific neighborhoods rather than being on call for responding to 911 calls citywide, the creation of maintenance of neighborhood police stations or storefronts in high crime areas, participation in neighborhood meetings, and the making of home visits by police officers, and so forth. Community policing is a movement to connect police with citizens, emphasizing problem-solving methodologies and partnerships, and building policies to identify current and future problems. The federal government's U.S. Department of Justice established the Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services in the 1994 Crime Bill to provide federal resources to local communities so that they could train their officers in community policing and implement these programs designed to sustain safe and crime-free communities, wherein the police and the citizens they serve are involved in active partnership to preserve public order and promote public safety. Many innovations in dealing with crime, as well as new programs, reflect the values of sustainability, and some of these successful approaches should be noted. One example includes designing, implementing, and monitoring sentencing guidelines that balance several goals of crime response: establishing mandatory drug treatment instead of prison for first and second time drug possession, providing in-prison basic schooling and drug and alcohol treatment to those offenders who can benefit from those services, and to help prisoners graduate to freedom at the end of their term. Prison and jail programs that can provide job training and job placement at the end of prison terms have also been found to reduce recidivism. In addition, some programs that target at-risk youth, such as early intervention programs including counseling, organizing constructive activities, and out-of-home placement for serious offenses, have been found to be effective as well. Recidivism is a tendency to relapse into a previous condition or mode of behavior, and at-risk youth are the population of children and teenagers who are considered especially vulnerable and engage in activities that might expose them to far-reaching negative consequences. While there is no single approach or combination of approaches that will completely eradicate crime. Many states and communities have been trying new and different approaches to criminal justice that represent alternatives to incarceration and move toward the goal of sustainability. In Part 5 of Module 12 on Traditional and Visible Services, we will discuss education.